Well, hello, my friends. Last week we talked about why we come back, those places that somehow become part of our lives, often without us even realizing it. This week I'd like to stay with that thought just a little bit longer because I think some of the most meaningful stories we'll ever have are the ones that almost were missed. Most of us think stories have this this big drama, a big adventure, once in a lifetime vacation, a major life event. But the older I get, the more I'm convinced that that's not where most of our stories live. I think they live in those ordinary Tuesday afternoons, in the conversations around the dinner table, or in a simple conversation with your husband over breakfast. In fact, that happened to be this very week. We were just talking, and before I knew it, a story I had completely forgotten was there suddenly back there in front of me. It reminded me that stories don't always arrive because we're looking for them. Sometimes they simply show up while we're living our lives, day to day. They live in the family dinners, in the dogs waiting at the front door, in the favorite chair in the coffee shop where they remember your name. Or maybe at least they'll remember that you're the one that orders the tea. I love watching my friends on social media, not because they're trying to impress anyone, but because they're quietly keeping a record of life. There's that grandmother that shares a picture of her grandchild from when they were around, 5 years old, and then the one from today. And suddenly, you don't just see a photograph, you see their life unfolding. A friend of mine in Wisconsin posts about his dog, Queenie, happily enjoying the cold weather, blistering cold, wind chill factor cold every year. And it's a really simple post, but it reminds me that, well, someone's noticing, someone is paying attention, someone thought this is worth remembering. I wonder how many moments like that happen around us every day. Moments we assume are just too ordinary to matter until one day we look back and we realize those ordinary moments become the stories we treasure the most. Maybe that's why I wanted this Sunday conversation to exist. Not to teach you how to tell stories, but to help us all become the best at noticing, being noticers, to notice the conversations that made us laugh, the recipe card tucked in that old cookbook that you swore you couldn't find, the walk where we almost skip, the place where we keep coming back to, because those moments are quietly becoming our lives. So this week, I'd like to leave you with a little seed. Pay attention. Notice one ordinary moment that you might have hurried past before. You don't have to write it down in a book or anything. Just notice it. And you may discover that what seems ordinary today becomes one of those stories you're most grateful for when you remember it someday. Thank you for spending part of your Sunday with me. If some of this conversation stays with you, oh, I would love to hear about it. Share it in the comments because your perspective may be exactly the encouragement someone else needs this week. And if the Sunday conversations are becoming a part of your week, Can always, I'm always, you know, hoping that maybe you'll subscribe so you'll be notified. It's simply an easy way for YouTube to let you know when our next conversation is going to be had, because I know how busy we get in life. Until next Sunday, keep noticing, because life doesn't wind down. It just simply unfolds.